Hello, this is Erica with Launching Legacies. Welcome to our daily devotional. We are continuing our extended devotional of applications from biblical stories. We've taken a little bit of a break, so if you've been hanging around, then thank you for hanging out. Let's start our devotional today. It's about the applications we can learn from a bad cook. This happens to be one of my favorite stories in the Bible, and the application is pretty good. So let's look at 2 Kings chapter 4 verse 38 is where we're going to start. Sorry about that. Forgot for a second. So what's happening is there's famine in the place, right? There's famine in the land of Gilgal. And because there was famine, the people were like trying to figure out what they could eat. So they decided to get together, put a big pot in the middle of the town and add stuff. Everybody was going to add stuff to this pot. So they start to put the pot there. They're adding things to the pot. And somebody, it says on verse 39, one of the young men went out into the field and he gathered some herbs, and then he got a pocket full of wild gourds. Well, the wild gourds were poisonous, but he shred them up and he put them into the pot. Once some of the people had started eating it, they realized that, oh, you know what, this is poison. There's poison in this pot, right? And so there was a poison in the pot, and Elisha, who was the prophet at this time, has to make an intervention. And so what he tells them is, in verse 41, he says, Elisha says, look, bring me some flour. And then he threw it into the pot, and now he said, you can go ahead and eat it. And then it did not harm them, right? But before that, the poison would have, was going to cause them illness and possibly death. And so depends on what translation you're reading, but it's called death in the pot, meaning these gourds are going to kill us. And so they can't take the poison out of the pot, but they can put something into the pot to make the stew edible. And it's better than dying, right? Because there's famine in the land. They don't have anything to eat. And so you may have heard me tell this story before, depending on how familiar you are with my devotionals, because I actually love this story a lot because the application is really big. Here goes the thing. They're all sitting together around. Maybe let's imagine instead of the pot, it's a conversation. That pot is a conversation, and they start to say horrible things about someone. They start to gossip about someone or talk bad about someone, and then that gossip is like poison, right? And so it goes into the pot, right? It goes into the general conversation, and in that way is defiling many, right? Everybody is all messed up now because they've been gossiping. They've been putting poison into this pot. And what way do you get it out? You can't unsay what you've said that you shouldn't have said, right? Instead, we can add goodness to the pot, right? We can add, oh, you know what? Well, thank the Lord for making it right. Or we can fix this by adding something good to the pot. And so when we think about our lives, even, we can apply this, that we can't undo the things that we've done wrong in our past. We can't make those things not have happened. They've already occurred in our lives. A lot of times in our lives, we're putting poison into our own pots, and we're making choices that we shouldn't make, or doing things that we probably shouldn't do. And in that way, adding poison to a pot. And there isn't a way to detract that. We can't take away the things that we've done, the mistakes we've made, or bad choices, bad thoughts. Those types of things can't be taken away, but we can add goodness to it. And when we think about adding whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's any praise, when we think on these things, right, when we add those things into a situation that might be poisonous, then we find that we can eat and live again, right? We can still continue to go forth. We can still continue to be encouraged. We continue to give God glory, or to edify him with the things that we do, or edify others with the things that we do. And so when we look at the application of poison in the pot, it's a small passage in 2 Kings that most people never even paid attention to. But it's a big application because Jesus represents that goodness in our lives. He represents that thing that's been added to us that makes us well. Again, he's not taking away anything. There's nothing, he's not going to undo the life that you lived before. You're not going to undo the gossip that you spread or undo the bad decisions that you made. But but you don't have to undo them, because you can add goodness to whatever you already have going on, and your life, the perspective can be changed, and your direction can be changed, and you can have life where you would have had death. And so I want you to consider these things. Consider this application for your daily life. What is it like to add goodness to the life that you've lived, even if it's been full of mistakes, if it's been full of bad decisions, if it's been full of wrong directions, or you haven't done relationship right? It doesn't mean that moving forward you have to do it wrong again. You can always add goodness to the pot. You can add this thing that sustains life. It makes the poison immutable. Mutable. It makes the poison not have effect on you. And there's all kinds of applications for that, right? In a relationship, look, let's just decide to add some goodness to this. We're going to leave the rest of that stuff alone. We're just going to add some goodness to it. We're going to make it well. Not a cover up like nothing ever existed. No, we know things went bad. We know we made mistakes. But what would happen if we just started to do the right thing in this situation, and we stop putting bad things in, or refuse to leave the pot alone and not eat it? Because that was the other option, right? We can't eat it. You got to leave it alone. You got to waste all this other resources and time and food that you put into this thing. No, instead of doing that, we're just going to add goodness to it so that we can enjoy the work that we've already put into this. These are ways to apply this idea of this bad cook, this young guy who doesn't know what he's added to this pot that caused almost the whole village, right, to be affected or impacted. Instead, the prophet says, look, just add some flour, right? Just add something good to it. It represents Christ. He adds goodness to that which we have already debacled. We've messed it all up, but he can make it well. So I want to encourage you to read this passage in Second Kings, the 4th chapter, and to see there's other stuff in this passage that's kind of interesting as well that goes on with Elisha, some miracles that occur. But enjoy your reading as you study through the word, but also remember to please pray. Pray for us. We're praying for you. We hope that you are continuing to be well, and we would look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another of our devotionals. Until then, be blessed.